Hi guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Bourne franchise. I know everyone's real concerned about Harrison Ford's leg injury and whether or not that's going to put the December of 2015 release of Star Wars Episode 7 in jeopardy. I've read recently about plans to do a fifth film in the Bourne franchise. It would be a sequel to The Bourne Legacy, which came out in 2012, and from what I understand, they were hoping to get Matt Damon and Jeremy Renner paired up for a movie, have them working together. But it looks like that's not happening now. According to an article that I read last week, it looks like it's just going to be Jeremy Renner. But I'm okay with that, actually. I didn't really like The Bourne Legacy that much when I first saw it. Probably just because I needed to get used to the idea of a Bourne movie without Jason Bourne, of course. A lot of people were like, well, what's the point of that exactly? But if you think about it, you know, any movie that's like the first or the only has to make you care about a new character, maybe played by a familiar actor, but a new character nonetheless. And though there's events in the Bourne Legacy that are related to stuff that happened mostly in the Bourne Ultimatum, it's its own adventure. And it's played on cable actually a lot recently, the past few weeks. Whenever it's on, I happen to catch a little bit of it. I'll watch maybe at least half an hour or so, depending. If you haven't seen the movie, Jeremy Renner plays a guy named Aaron Cross, who's a participant in the sort of a similar super spy type of faction of the CIA that Jason Bourne was a part of. Only it's a different faction that actually uses viruses to tweak the DNA of its participants. An increase in physical endurance and oxygenation of muscles, and also an increase in intelligence. So the participants basically take pills, you know, on a regular basis. They, you know, they don't really know what's in them. Everyone's sort of kept in the dark about their own. About all the other aspects of the department except for their own. Rachel Weisz plays a scientist who works on some of those chemicals, basically, that they give the guys in order to enhance their abilities. And of course, the people in the program, the guys that are actually taking the pills, they're operatives out in the street. Some of them are in training, some of them are infiltrating you know, other countries and what have you, but they're all sort of kept in the dark about each other. And the trouble begins while Aaron Cross, the Jeremy Renner character, is pretty much still in training. He's, I guess, fairly new to the program at that point, but there's a mishap involving, of course, Jason Bourne in New York, and the press around the company Treadstone. And so when some of the guys who are operating one of these sister programs, including people like Stacy Keach and Ed Norton, learn about this, and they also learn that some of their corporate partners, the people that are sort of sponsoring the scientific research and the training of these super agents, have made their partnerships or their knowledge of each other publicly known inadvertently. They decide to wipe the whole program, and that means basically systematically destroying all the assets, meaning the people in the program and the people that were assisting them, including the scientists that were developing the research in the first place, like Rachel Weisz's character. They have a whole sort of murder scene involving sort of a workplace shooting in order to wipe out all the scientists, but she manages to live. Although, of course, she's still in jeopardy because she was a part of this program. Their objective is basically to take everyone out, including the agents. And when people come after Aaron Cross, of course, he escapes and then runs and finds Rachel Weisz because he knows her from you know, his participation in the program. She was a doctor who would examine his physical progress. And the two of them, they team up together because without his meds, he needs to, you know, he's going to deteriorate physically and mentally. And so he asks for her help in getting him, as they say, viraled off the medication. He needs to basically adjust his physiology so that he doesn't need the medication anymore, but he can still run at peak performance. There's a lot of really good actors in this movie. Corey Stoll from House of Cards is in it. One of the guys from Damages is in it as well. I can't remember his name. He's got a foreign name that I really haven't been able to pronounce ever. Who's the guy from Inside Llewyn Davis? Darn it! Oh, come on, I just thought of his name. Shoot. What's his name? Isaac something, right? Oscar Isaac, yeah, exactly. He's in the beginning of the movie as another person who's in the program. Aaron Cross runs in the mountains during his training. The movie was directed by David Gilroy, who wrote scripts for some of the previous Bourne movies. He also directed Michael Clayton. And I like the way a lot of the action is staged really well. I like the way he'll skip over certain key events, like at one point Aaron drops his meds. He just loses his grip on them, and so he needs to go find more pills, but they don't actually show that part. He talks about it later. There's a scene where Rachel Weisz has to torch her house in order to eliminate evidence. And you see sort of like the before and after, but not really the act of her like tossing a cigarette lighter onto her house and setting it ablaze. Just touches like that are really fun. It's a good solid thriller. I mean, if you're comparing it with the better Bourne movies, maybe you wouldn't like it as much. I'm not a big fan of the Bourne Ultimatum. I think that's a kind of a silly, oftentimes stupid movie. The first two Bourne movies I like a lot though. And I like this one too, and so when they do make another Bourne movie, even if it is just with Jeremy Renner, I'm going to be looking forward to it very much. Because the Bourne Legacy, I don't know who's going to be directing it, but Gilroy made a really good solid thriller. It could stand on its own without necessarily you needing to see the Jason Bourne movies and understand what's happening. If you have, you'll understand more of what's happening, but it works on its own. And the thing that probably wouldn't work for me is that they tried to turn Rachel Weisz and Jeremy Renner into a couple in the sequel. I don't know about that. I think it would be better if they just partnered up for survival's sake. That would be better. Because they work well together, but when they start making like smiling moon eyes at each other at the end, I'm just like, nah, please don't do that. You know, let's just have them be partners in survival rather than romantic partners. That wouldn't work so well. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd reel off a few thoughts about that. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Bourne Legacy, if you're a little unsure about that, just because it's not an actual Jason Bourne movie, I'd say give it a shot. You know, it's a good solid thriller. So that's my take on it. And I've got a couple more videos on my personal channel going to be coming later this week. I'm planning on doing a video about basically the movies that I saw during the first half of the year, as sort of a summary video, a big long video on you know, just what I've seen that's new. So thanks for watching. Later guys, bye.